Come show your glory. Come show your face. Come light a fire in us. Breathe on this place. Your love pursues us. Tears down.
Hey, welcome to the house. My name is Wes. My wife Vanessa and I, we're the lead pastors here, and we just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. If you're somewhat new to our community, or you're new to this channel, or someone maybe just sent you this link, if you have any questions at all about who we are, what we're about, what we believe, or how you can get involved, how you can participate in giving alongside some of the projects that we're doing, you can always check out thehousela.org. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll put the link for you on the bottom that you can just click that, pause, pop over there. If you have a prayer request, we'd love to pray with you as well. And if you're here in Los Angeles, please come join us. We want to invite you to come join us to finish your weekend well. We meet right now on Sunday nights in Sherman Oaks. And why not just finish your weekend well? Just start that Monday off great by finishing your weekend well in the house of God, worshiping, connecting with other people, being encouraged yourself, being taught the Bible. And we'll throw the address for you on the bottom of the screen. But we would love to have you. Today is really special because we're starting our Connect group season, which for us, community is so very vital, not only to be a part of, but to build together. And we're starting this with this talk today on how do I make friends? How do I make friends? And I know that sounds like a silly, kind of question, but it is a very real topic, especially given the stats of the world that we are in right now. Over the last couple of years during this time of COVID and lockdown and shutdown and reopen and close back down again and reopen and, stay 6 feet, stay 10 feet, stay 20 feet, stay on the other side of the street, all the different things we've had and, being isolated, it has forced our world so far apart that now coming back together, it feels awkward for a lot of people. It's almost like people don't know how to interact with each other anymore. Some people are like, do I do an elbow? Do I do a fist bump? So other people are coming in for a hug. People are like, no, let's share the same beverage together and we're going to pass around the table. And it's like, what are the new rules of the world that we live in right now? Now, during this time of COVID isolation, Barna Research, it's a research group, they've even stated that during this time while everyone is pulled apart, while everyone is coming back together, that there's about 30%, at least 30% of the people, if we are spread out now, we're all coming back together for church, 30% are still out here. 30% are still, they haven't come back, they don't know what to do, they don't know the rules, or they've lost their way. The world has been so pulled apart. Contrast that to what the church, the people of God, are supposed to be. I love the way that Pastor Rick Warren has defined what he says. Hey, here's a really good definition for the church, and I'm going to read it for you. It says this: the church is baptized believers who have joined together in commitment together to fulfill God's purpose. It's basically just people coming together with a common goal, common purpose to see God's kingdom in action in their life. Malcolm Gladwell, one of my favorite authors, in his book Outliers, he tells the story of this group of people in Rosetto, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania. And this is community that a lot of them have come from a very similar area in Italy. And researchers started looking at this group of people in the 50s, at the kind of mid-century. And they started looking at this group of people because this group of people were living longer and had less health problems than anyone else. They were an outlier. Hence, Malcolm Gladwell includes their story in his book. And so medical researchers start looking at their lives and they're looking at their medical history and they're looking at all kinds of different things of maybe what their family's medical history, and they could find no difference at all from them and the communities around them. They even looked at the weather patterns of Rosetto, Pennsylvania, and the weather patterns of the areas around. And they have the same weather. A lot of them have kind of the same background. But why is it that people in one community are living longer, healthier, and happier? And this is what he said. They concluded that the extraordinary health of this unique population could only be explained in the terms of extended family and community. That was the one difference between this one community and everyone else. Why are they all living so long? Why are they healthy? Why are they happy? They said it's family, it's community, it's the people who are around them. There's also a Harvard study from Robert Wellinger. He writes on this, saying that close relationships more than money or fame are what keep people happy throughout their lives. I know we all think, hey, if I could just get a raise, if I could just get that car I want, if I could get out of this Prius and into that Tahoe that I really want, if I could get out of this world and into that world, then I will be happy. And he says, no, close relationships, more than money, more than fame, are what keep people happy throughout their lives. Several studies, he goes on to say, several studies found that people's level of satisfaction with their relationships at the age of 50 was a better predictor of their health than their cholesterol. That means if a 50-year-old person is coming into the doctor for their annual exam and they're saying, hey, instead of doing their heart rate, instead of checking out their vitals, if they just ask them, how are your friends? That right there is a better predictor of their health than anything else. He goes on to say, and I'm going to end this part with this. He says, loneliness kills. It's as powerful as smoking and alcoholism. As you may have heard, there's an age-old adage that says this, show me your friends and I will show you your future. Why is community so important to us here at the house, and why is community so important to God? I think you can look at the original story of creation where God puts man in a garden in a perfect environment. He's got a job, he's got happiness, he has plans, he's got a vision, he knows what he's supposed to do. There is no sin. This is pre-sin, pre-fall. God sees Adam alone, and he says this in Genesis 2:18. He says, then the Lord God said, it is not good that man should dwell alone. It's not good that man's alone. So before sin, before the fall, the one thing that God said, in a perfect environment, everything could be going your way. But if you're living isolated or alone, God says that's not good. That's not healthy. Just like in the Harvard study, that's as bad as smoking and alcoholism. It's as bad as all these other things that will limit not only your lifespan, but your happiness here on the earth. You were never meant to live isolated or alone. If we had time, we would talk through Moses, and he had the elders, and Jesus had his disciples, and Paul had Timothy and Titus and traveling companions. You can see all throughout the story of the Bible that God continually puts people together. No, I know that there would be some people watching this that they say, well, what about those times where it's just me and Jesus, right? In the scriptures, we also hear that phrase of come away, where there's those times of come away, where God calls you on a fast, or God calls you into a time of solitude, and you're just going to go away to retreat for a week. Come away is great. The only problem is come away was never meant to be come and stay. Come away was never meant to be come and stay. Because when you do that, you end off in some other world, unprotected, no accountability, disconnected and alone. And you were meant to live in community. And there are different levels of friendship. And for the sake of today's teaching, we're going to simplify and we're going to talk about two. I almost did two. We're going to talk about two. Friendships by default and friendships by direction. Friendships by default and friendships by direction. Friendships by default are something like this. The other day, we took our youngest, Stella, to a park. And she's playing with this one girl, and she's having a blast with this girl. And I'm like, oh my goodness. She's like, yeah, she's my new best friend. I'm like, that is a new best friend? Man, I'm a good dad. And I'm like, tell me about your new best friend. And she says, well, we both like to slide and I like her shoes. Well, what's her name, sweetheart? I don't know. And we can laugh about that. It's like, oh, that's just a friendship by default. We're both going down the slide. I like your shoes. I like something external about you. And we can laugh about that as kids. But adults, we kind of do the same thing as well. If we were to say, hey, who are your best friends around you? A lot of us would give answers like, oh, they're the people in the cubicle next to me. The people in my sorority or fraternity, they're my neighbors across the street. They're the people that I just happen to be around by default. They're the people that I see often in the sports club or the golf club that I'm a part of. They're the people that we go to the same coffee shop and we like a lot of, the same things. By the way, that's not bad. And in fact, those types of relationships can be the start of a true, meaningful relationship. However, that alone, that person who just happens to be a neighbor alone, in the next cubicle alone. We both like golf. We both like this coffee. We both like this genre of music. We both like fitness. We both like this. We all kind of like this. That alone is not deep enough to be a true and lasting friendship. In the same way that we would all agree that dating someone or kind of a dating relationship based completely on external factors such as looks or finances, that's never going to go anywhere. The same goes for friendships as well. So if we allow default to dictate our friendships rather than direction, we will never end up where we are supposed to go. We will find ourselves in that spot if my heart wants to go in this direction, but my community and the people all around me are headed in a different direction. Now, the second type is a friendship that is defined or based on direction. It's based on direction. It's the number one question that you should ask in any friendship is this: are we headed in the same direction? Not do we like the same coffee? Not do we both like working out, or not do we both, work in the same environment, or we're both neighbors over here, we're both part of the same club, although those things are great. If we're going to be a true lasting friendship, are we headed in the same direction? Do we have shared values? Can we sharpen each other? Proverbs says, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. Can I encourage you and can you encourage me? And when you encourage me, are you going to actually encourage me in the direction that we are both headed, or are you going to encourage me in a different direction? The first church that we see in the book of Acts, the first church was filled with these types of relationships. People were actually, a lot of them from very different backgrounds, but they had the same shared values and they were headed in the same direction. Acts 2:42 says it like this: all the believers, they gathered together. All of them, they gathered together and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, to sharing in meals, the Lord's Supper, and to prayer. So the first church, they hung out a lot. They prayed a lot. They got together. They went, the Bible describes it as they went house to house. They were in a small group community together. But they did share meals together, but it wasn't about the food. It was about the direction. It was, we are all headed after Jesus together. So the question remains for us today is this: how do I build these types of friendships? If you find yourself in this spot, hey, Wes, I've got relationships and friendships that are completely based on default. How do I take those deeper? Or how do I build these types of friendships? And the way I'm going to describe it's a little bit silly. We're going to head over to the kitchen and I'm going to explain this. How do I build these types of friendships via how do I make a cupcake? Okay? So why don't you join me over in the kitchen right now? All right, so here we are in the kitchen answering the question, how do I make these types of friendships? And at the beginning, we talked about how COVID had pulled everyone apart and everyone's trying to come back together. And if you have ever felt like I am just feeling awkward trying to make friends, it's almost like I haven't danced in a while and the music's playing and I'm not even sure if I'm on beat, you are not the only one. I have almost lost track of how many people have said, I'm having a tough time making friends. Someone recently said this. They said, I feel awkward trying to make friends. And they're a very normal person. It's been so far apart. So back to the cupcakes. Making new friends, building deeper friendships, it can feel a lot like a cupcake because we have something in our mind of this is what I want. This is perfect. A professional made this. We're looking at someone else's friendship and you go, they are good friends. Oh my gosh, they're going on hikes together. They wake up early Saturday morning. They're happy when they wake up. Their kids wake up. You took your kids on a hike and they went along with you. And we have this perfect idea in our mind of this is what a perfect friendship should look like. But meanwhile, we're over here we've got this. We've got this, and we're saying, okay, I know what I want to build. I know the friendship that I want, but I'm looking at what I have, and it doesn't look like that. And it feels kind of like awkward. It's got sharp corners, and I need to bring some things together to actually make this happen. And the crazy thing is, even after I mix it all together, I look at what I've made. Sorry, this is my daughter's little cupcake things, whatever this is called. This is what I have, and I'm looking at what they have, and I go, my friendships are terrible. I'm not good at this. I feel awkward. I didn't even know if it says tasty. This looks so pretty. This actually looks perfect. Like nothing is off balance. This is like browned on one side. It's uncooked on the other. Who knows what it looks like when I cut into it? And so what you can do is when these situations happen, you can actually even question, am I even good at this? Is our community even good at this? Because we're looking at the semblance of perfection and we're comparing it to our current reality if we know all of the negative, things that we are facing. So we have this picture in our mind of perfection, and then we have our current state. So 4 things, I'm gonna give you 4 things today, 4 things that you can do to develop biblical friendships. Number 1, it sounds oversimplified, you can pray for friends. When you are actually praying for friends, when you are praying for friends, you are praying God's will for your life. Because remember, Genesis 2, it is not good that man should be alone. So when you're praying, you're in the same way that you would pray, God, will you please forgive me? And God's forgiving you. In the same way, you can actually pray, God, would you give me godly friends that I can develop a godly relationship with them and we can encourage each other like iron sharpening iron. Number 2, you can get in the mix. It's one thing to look at all the ingredients that you may have. It is a completely different thing to go, all right, I'm going to get in the mix. I'm going to get in the mix of their life. I'm going to get in the mix. We're going to see how good I am at this. I'm going to get in the mix of their situations. Oh, hello, YouTube channel. I'm going to get in the mix of this because I actually don't want to just look at friendships. I don't want to just talk about friendships. I actually want to build those friendships. And so with getting in the mix, this is what it looks like. I'm going to come to church early. I'm going to stay late. I'm going to get in the mix. I'm going to join a connect group, and then I'm actually going to join 2. I'm going to go out after church. Hey, do you guys want to go out for coffee? What am I doing? I'm getting in the mix. I'm mixing the ingredients together. I'm mixing my life with someone else's life. It actually takes a lot of courage to say, hey, do you want to go out for coffee afterwards? And it may feel awkward at first. It may feel like, wait, I don't know if you drink coffee. No, you don't. Okay. Do you want to go out for, wait, I can't. Do you want to hang out after church today? Do you want to maybe, be in my group, or can I be in your group? Something like that. You've got to get in the mix. The third thing is this, you've got to give it time. Now, these cupcakes right here, I've taken them out and I've allowed them time to cool. But one of the things that you can do while you're making cupcakes or any type of cake, if you don't give it time when you take it out of the oven, and you try to put the frosting on it right away, this is like the hardest thing when I'm baking with the kids, because like we'll do like brownies or cupcakes or something like that. It comes out and right away, Stella, I love her so much. She goes, Dad, can I put the frosting on right now? And it's like, it is blazing hot. You're gonna burn your hands. The frosting's gonna melt off on the pan. It's gonna make a mess. You actually have to give it time. You have to let it rest. I wonder if we put so much pressure on friendships to get really good really fast. And what we're doing is we're just not giving it time. We're not giving it seasons. We're not giving them space to maybe go on their run or go on their journey or go on their own trip or something like that. Or just, we're not giving it time. Relationships, just like life, they have seasons. And every relationship, every friendship needs time. The last one is this: learn and adjust. Sometimes we don't get it right. Sometimes we'll have, I don't know if you've ever done this, you leave a social setting and then you are literally coaching yourself through the last setting. Oh, I should have said this. When they said that and I had that joke ready and I wasn't ready to give that joke and I brought it up later and no one knew what I was saying, or then I forgot their name, or just, it's like, wasn't my best work. I don't know if you ever felt that. I left the social setting. That wasn't my best work. A while ago, I was talking to a friend, and we've done lots of ministry together. We speak at each other's churches, or we'll go to events that we're both at. And talking is a big part of my job, okay? Obviously, you're here, and I'm talking. Talking is a big part of my job. And I totally botched this conversation. I was trying to tell my friend, hey, friend, you are important to me. You're a real friend in my life. I'm just not friends with you because we're in the same neighborhood or we do the same stuff together. I really value this friendship. How it came out was nothing like that. He was like so confused afterwards. I was like, all right, hold on. And I just laughed about it. We had to move on. I was embarrassed. Well, look, as you're building friendships, there's going to be things that you just have to laugh about. You learn, you adjust, and you go, hey, I'm probably not going to do that again. And then we move on together. We all have to be okay with it being a little bit awkward as we're coming back together. So for us as a church, as we're stepping into this Connect Group season, my prayer for you is that you would have the courage right now. I'm going to get best friends by this week. Probably not. My prayer for you is that you would have the courage to just get in the mix. That you would have the courage to join a group, to go up to someone and say, hey, man, I think we really connect. Can we grab a coffee? I just want to hear your story. And here's the 2 questions that you can ask to get in that world with someone is this. Number 1, you can ask them, hey, tell me your story of how you met Jesus. Just 3 to 5 minutes, tell me your story of how you met Jesus. And then number 2, can I tell you my story of how I met Jesus? Now, don't give them, let me give you the backstory to that backstory and the reason. That's a problem of mine. I give too much, it's like too much. Well, I just want to make sure you have context. It's like, okay, 3 to 5 minutes, Wes, tell them the story of how you met Jesus. And I believe that as we do this together as a church, and we're going to continue on this discussion next week as we continue on this thought process of the one and for the one, that as you get in the mix, you watch and see that God will create in us, not only friendships for you, but a community of a church that says, hey, this is a safe place to build community, to learn how to build community, and to make mistakes in community as well. Jesus, I'm praying for every friend watching this video right now. I'm praying, God, that you would help them as they grow in community, as they learn how to make friends, and as we together as a church learn how to reconnect with one another again. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, if you'd like to learn more of what it means to follow Jesus, you can go to thehousela.org and click on the button that says Next Steps. We'd be so honored to help you in your journey as you're learning what it means to follow Jesus. If you're here in Los Angeles, hey, come check us out at a live church service. We are here every Sunday night right now in Sherman Oaks at 4445 Noble Avenue. We meet up at a location called Sherman Oaks Presbyterian Church. But we would love to meet you there, so please come out on a Sunday night. We'd love to see you, and we'd love to help get that connection happen. You were made to live in connection with other people. And lastly, I want to say thank you so much for all of you who have joined us in your generosity, tithes, and offerings. That's something that we really believe here at the house. It's something that we not only do we believe, but we sacrifice in that way. We say, God, we love you. We want to give. We want to say thank you for everything that you've given us. And so if you'd like to join us in that, you can go to thehousela.org and click on the button that says Give. You can set up a secure one-time gift, or you can set it up to reoccurring. We are still here today because of God's blessing and because of your help. And because of God's continued blessing and because of your continued help, we will still continue to be here. So thank you so much for joining with us in your generosity. Next week, we're going to continue on this talk of For the One. We'd love to see you either back here or at one of our live services. God bless, and we'll see you soon.